Alright, this is Marvel Transformers crossovers, Venom, right there in the middle. He's part of the first wave of the Marvel Transformers figures. He transforms into a muscle car, a black muscle car. Just to give you a little bit of size comparison on this figure before we go into detail. These are the regular Venom figures. I think Marvel did a good job on doing the crossovers figure to make it very similar to the character. They tried to be as loyal to how the character would look like, with even with all these bits of car pieces here and there. This is movie Venom. The head sculpt is good. I mean, the head sculpt is very much like the comic or the cartoon. That even has better detail than the actual movie figure. Yeah. The only difference is he doesn't have webbing. He has missiles. Missiles. Okay. Not. Okay. Here is a very old toy I have. It's one of the first. It's very dusty. It's not even on display on my shelf anymore. I've put him uh, in a box somewhere. I just dug him up for this review, and this is one of my very first Venom figures that I had. It's from Toy Biz. It doesn't have as much articulation. I mean, back in the 90s, this was as good as Toy Biz figures got. He has one gimmick though. He has this tongue lashing thing. I mean, uh, no sexual innuendos right there, but that's all he does, and it's kind of well, whatever. Anyway, detail is very good. This guy came out with a whole bunch of Spider-Man figures, the black suited Spider-Man and the regular Spider-Man. You know, Toy Biz was the action figure company back in the day. Okay, let's get rid of these two. Okay, the crossovers figures are actually, albeit a bit cheaper than a normal Transformers Voyager figure. They are a Voyager class size figure, and this particular figure, Venom, is very bulky. Lots of plastic about him, and in his alt mode is very massive for his size, for a Voyager size. So I think you can get a lot of your money's worth on this figure. Just a little bit of size comparison. Here is Universe Inferno. Let me just put them together. About the same size. I mean, Inferno is like a regular Voyager size, and Venom is they're about the same size, same scale. Not same scale in alt mode, but very much in the same league in terms of Voyager class size. Okay. Just look at the detail on this figure. I think there's a lot more detail than what's seen in the pictures of this figure. There's a lot of tentacles or wiring, computer wiring on parts of his body that we sorely miss in the Carnage repaint. If you ask me, given the choice between Carnage or this one, I still say go with the original. The Carnage repaint of this mold is just it's a direct repaint of the entire figure. There's very little detail. You see, it's all red, and just a few bits and pieces of black and a little bit of hardly any white or silver, but it's just a lot of red and black, and that really, I know, that really kills the whole figure. And excuse me, this figure has a lot of parts where you can put a lot of detail on them, and we sorely miss that in the Carnage. So in my opinion, if you already have this figure, don't bother getting the Carnage unless he's on clearance or he's on a big discount, because you know, Carnage and Venom, they do go well together. But if you just need one, this guy is the one you want to get. Okay. give you one last look at him in this pose. We'll devote another part of this review for transformation and alt mode. The back part of this figure doesn't really, I mean, it's not great. You see a lot of bits of the car in it, but the front part and the side part are very good. He makes a very good display piece if you can get him the right poses. Also, the other thing I wanted to say about this figure, especially the first wave of crossovers, is that part of the reason why fans weren't too excited about this figure is that it has not been, the designers have not been able to marry the smoothness of what an action figure would look like to the bulkiness of the car parts. I wish they could have adapted more of the design used for the Transformers animated line, because the Transformers animated line, when you transform them in bot mode, they all look like regular action figures, like very human action figures, and they managed to transform into a very decent alt mode. This goes as well for the Star Wars crossovers. I wish they could have added more of that touch, more of that Transformers animated feel, and just made it more ergonomic, quote unquote, in bits and pieces, instead of having bits and pieces of the car showing here and there. I wish they could have made it more smoother, made the legs thinner. They could have propped the car part somewhere else, maybe added a little more joints to fold these pieces here and there, maybe made the arm more I don't know. They could have done a lot more things with this particular crossovers figure to make it more smoother and humanoid looking. But I guess it was a very well, you know, it didn't catch up on the animated line design yet. So I'm hoping future crossovers would be better than this. The Captain America is not bad, but it still has a lot of bulk from the vehicle. But despite that, this still certainly is an acceptable figure. It's a good figure. If you're a big Venom fan, big Spider-Man fan, you're gonna love them. And you know, if it's a good marriage between Transformers and Marvel action figures. So I highly recommend him. But don't go out of your way to find him. If you can't find him, it's alright. You know, you can always substitute him for another crossovers figure. So stay tuned for part 2 of this video review.